Awesome. So it looks like our participant numbers have sort of leveled off. So I think we will get started. So just quick intros. My name is Chelsea Clark. I'm sure all of you know by now who I am from all of our past webinars, as well as from past Give Miami days. But for those that don't, I am Programs Associate here at the Foundation, acting as team lead for nonprofit engagement for Give Miami Day. So really excited to be hosting this panel with my fellow panelists here to really get everyone that's going to be participating some really solid information to help plan their Give Miami Day campaign for this year. So just going to do some intros of our presenters today. So I'm joined by Joan Godoy, who is Executive Director of Radical Partners. She's an amazing co-lead for today's presentation, as well as Jessica Cohen, who is our content manager on our communications team here at the Miami Foundation. And so I'm just going to quickly go over our agenda for today. So we're going to start here in just a couple minutes. We're going to go through a quick icebreaker with the full group. And then we're going to pass it over to Jess, who's going to give just an intro as far as Give Miami Day, who and where are the donors, as well as digging into information about digital strategies and techniques. And then she's going to pass it over to Joan, who's going to go into relationship management with donors, and then also open it up into a little bit of a share out work time session there at the end. And then we're going to open it up for a full Q&A session at the end to make sure that we're getting all of your questions answered. So a couple quick housekeeping notes before we dive into the presentation. As we've done for all of these webinars, making sure that you are getting all of the questions that you may have throughout the presentation into the Q&A feature. That way we'll be able to monitor and hopefully get everything answered during the Q&A session at the end. And one other quick note, I did want to mention that we are going to be recording this session as we've done for all of the past webinars this year. So we're going to be recording it and posting it on our givemiamiday.org website, just to make sure if you have to drop off early, or if you're, for those that are unable to join today, you can go back and reference the video. All right, and now I will pass it over to Jessica.
It's Joan, actually, who's doing the icebreaker.
Oh, sorry,
It's
true,
okay.
Yes. Joan,
it's
the icebreaker.
Okay,
Sorry about that.
It's tricky with the two J's here. Well, good morning, everyone. I love that everybody's introducing themselves in the chat already. So we kind of know what organizations are here, who are you leading the way for Give Miami Day, and also in what places of the county you are. But in all honesty, Jess and I are here for you. And we're just going to be sharing some of the best practices that we've learned over the years. And that doesn't really make sense if we don't know what you need and what you're looking for during this session. So in the next slide, I have a quick prompt for you. We want to know in the chat, what excites you about today? Try to use as much as possible, just 2 words so that we can literally hear that from everybody. And I'm going to leave 2 minutes to see all the 50 people that we have here. Tell us what excites you about today. Okay, Karen says innovation, collaboration. Nikki says community impact, using comms for development. More knowledge, Hilda, I'm all about that. Possibilities, opportunities, I love that, Angelica. Learning new tools, new strategies, new ideas. Creativity, yes, Corey. Increased engagement with your people. Dunia, I see you, new ideas too. Wow, it's going very fast. Are you looking at all these things, Jess? Togetherness, engagement, more learning, more innovation, more collaboration. Transformational gifts. I like that, Sabrina. We're going to make it a thing. Expanding reach, digital knowledge. Efficiency, good point there, Dunia. Increasing donation, Tara, we see you. What else? Even though if you already participated, keep using 2 words. Okay. Return of investment. Actionable ideas. Yes, we got you, Jennifer. Okay, I think that gives us a good understanding of what you're looking for. So as Chelsea shared, Jess is going to start with a lot of those digital strategies, right? So take note of all those strategies, because today we're just going to give you, if you want to think about it, like kind of like a table of contents, right? And a lot of ideas that you could pursue. But the idea is that after this session, alongside all the content that you have from previous sessions, for you to take it home alongside your teams, so that you can prepare accordingly in the month that we have to prepare for Give Miami Day. So thank you all for being here, for participating, and Jess, I'm going to pass it back to you.
Thank you, Joan. And so it's great to be here with everyone. We're so happy and excited for this session. So I will dive right in and speak about your audience and your donors. Who and where is your audience? So as you know, Philanthropy in Miami has thankfully remained strong during COVID-19 and the past year. As we are still navigating the pandemic, we have also seen our community mobilized during the Surfside tragedy, or also for Haiti, for Cuba. We have a very strong philanthropic community in Miami, and our community has seen time and time again the invaluable work that nonprofits are doing, your invaluable work. So we are sure that it will be a very successful Give Miami Day for all of you. And what we're going to address this morning is to make sure that you reach your donors, that you leverage the right platforms, and that your message resonates with your audience. So first of all, where you can find them. You know your donors, you know your audiences, and you know where you typically get the most engagement, whether it's email, social media, or other. But today we want to try to take it a step further and make sure you are reaching as many potential donors as possible. So I'd like to start with an important slide that gives us some insight on where to reach donors during Give Miami Day. Every day after Give Miami Day, we send a survey to all participating donors, and we ask them, how did you hear about Give Miami Day? The first way, as you can see, that donors hear about Give Miami Day is through an email or a newsletter from a nonprofit. The second way is from an email from the Miami Foundation. And the third way, if we add up the numbers, is through social media. This year, we decided to separate the different platforms in our survey because we wanted to see if one platform stood out more than the others. And clearly, Facebook came out first. But if you add up the three main platforms, this is the third source. And then it's word of mouth from family and friends. So what does it tell us? It tells us that the number one way that people find out about Give Miami Day is through platforms that are within our control. We don't rely on external partners or on media to get our word out and to reach our donors. What is interesting also is that those numbers are almost identical to the results we got the previous years. So we have this trend, and we know that we can safely rely on the insight that the survey is giving us. And they confirm also something that we know and that has been reinforced by the pandemic, is that everything that is digital, the internet, social media is bigger than ever and is bigger than pre-pandemic. And this is where you should focus your effort for your Give Miami Day campaign. So once you've determined more or less where your current audience is, and if you don't have carried out yourself those kinds of surveys or research, you can also ask questions around you. This is a great way to get insight on where your audience and platform is, and donors are. So you can start with your current supporters and think about the characteristics that they may have in common. You can also look at similar organizations to yours and get a sense of how they communicate and the groups of people that they are trying to reach. And you can also just simply talk to friends, to colleagues, to board members to understand where they are, how they engage, and how they hear about your activities. And then you'll see, by talking to people and interviewing people that share common interests and have interest in your cause, that they will have certain characteristics in common, whether in demographics. So demographics means age, gender, household income, education, occupation, location. It can be interests, so what people are interested, the causes that they care about, or behaviors. They may read the same publication, visit the same websites. And then you'll start to have a sense of who your donor and audience is and who you're trying to reach. So then once you have this, we're going to talk about strategies and how to reach those people and those donors. So today our focus is digital, but I just want to share a small thought that traditional media is still very strong also. TV, radio, outdoors advertising are still good ways to reach your audience. They're much more expensive. Not everyone can access them, but they're still strong. We're not saying that it's only digital. Digital has clearly taken a step up in the last few years and after the pandemic, but still you can consider traditional media. So when we say digital, what are we talking about? We're talking about emails, we're talking about social media, we're talking about text message campaigns sometimes. Zoom, since a few weeks ago, has also added an option for you to be able to leverage donors through Zoom. We're talking about Google ads, which are ads that you need to pay for, but one thing that you may not know and is really important for nonprofits, and I'm happy that we're having the training today because you still have time, is that Google for nonprofits offer grants to nonprofit to benefit from Google ads. So there are platforms that usually you need to pay for, but you can still find ways as a nonprofit to leverage them and without this costing too much to your organization or nothing. So let's dive into those digital strategies now that we have a sense of all the different platforms that we can leverage. So what we usually say to nonprofits is first set a goal or several goals. So donors have been solicited a lot in the last 2 years. We've had elections, COVID, emergencies, disasters. So we would advise to try to engage people, or not only around dollars, but also around what they value, around your causes that are important to them. So yes, you can set a dollar amount, a goal, like let's say that last year you raised 15,000. This year you may want to raise 20 or 25, and that's perfectly fine. But it's also important to see what else you can mobilize and what else you want to focus on for your Give Miami Day strategy. Volunteers can be one thing. Visibility, because you can also use Give Miami Day to get more visibility for your organization. New donations, number of donations, new donors. So there are many ways that you can engage beyond the dollars and to think about what you want from this day. So as we've seen, social media is the key way that people are finding out, one of the key ways that people are finding out about this day. So we want to leverage this insight and explore all the different mediums and platforms we have. So it's good, first of all, to leverage the platforms where you have a good following. You don't necessarily need to do like other organizations or like what we do. You should focus on your audience, where you have a good following, where you feel comfortable, and drive your audience here. At the same time, there's so much engagement on virtual space right now that it's also a good way and a good moment to think about new platforms to leverage. So some of you may be active on TikTok, and that's maybe a great way to engage your audience. Clubhouse is a new platform also that can be leveraged for some organizations. Or if you don't already have a presence on more traditional platforms like Instagram, Twitter, it may be a time to launch your platforms. Now, how to show up. And this is the most important thing. Once you know which platforms you want to show up on, how to show up. The first thing that I would like to share today is to make it personal. Make sure to be your authentic self. There will be, we hope, almost 1,000 nonprofits participating in Give Miami Day this year and looking for attention. So they need to see from you the branding and the communications that they always see from you. They need to be able to recognize you, to recognize your brand. So you need to stick to your image and your messaging. It should be, and it should also be consistent throughout the platforms, on social, through your emails, wherever you show up, you should have consistent branding and identity. Why? The main reason is we want the people who are already engaged with you and your existing donors to be able to recognize you, not because we don't want new donors, but because the existing donors, when they are engaged, they are the ones who will get excited and will help you get new donors because they will share with their own networks, who include people who likely care about the same things and are likely to become new donors. Apart from your existing donors, the other people that you want to engage and that you want to mobilize around your brand and your message are what we call broadly brand ambassadors. So this can be staff members, volunteers, board members, former or current, and they should be mobilized around your message and your brand. What is very helpful in those cases is to provide them with a package or a social media toolkit of your visuals, your messaging, to make sure that this stays consistent throughout. Then the second thing, after making it personal, and I think this is one of the most important things, is to make it real, to show the impact. And this is one of the most important elements in your content from what we've seen throughout the years. Donors want to know that they're making a difference and that their gift is being leveraged. So they need to understand the impact they're making, who they're helping, how, where is the evidence. So it's always good to share figures if you have them, to really show how they are making an impact, and also to show that even with a $25 gift, the gift is still impactful. And this is what makes the difference between Give Miami Day and other events. Even a $25 gift will make a difference. So I'll just give a quick and easy example. If you are an organization trying to provide food to people who don't have access to food, it's not enough to just mention that or to just say how many people need or are lacking access to food in your community. What would be very much more impactful for donors or potential donors is to know what $25 will do, or what $100 will do, how many people, how many families will be fed thanks to that gift. And this is what I mean when I say make it real. This will help donors to understand their impact. Then, of course, because we're talking about social media, we want to make it shareable. So we want to have attractive graphics, we want to have striking content, numbers, quotes, whatever you feel will make it shareable. So one way to create engaging content is to notice what is working on your platform of choice. So what we see, and those are very general trends, is on Facebook, videos usually work best, and on other platforms like Instagram, images, infographics, images that share a story. So if we see the people that you are helping or your volunteers, your staff, you humanize your campaign, you humanize your cause, and you grab attention of your audience. On Twitter or Instagram story, often used but can be very engaging, polls, questions, countdowns, and those are very easy to use and very easily create engagement. You can also create donor challenges. So you may have seen all kinds of challenges on social media. You can do it with donations. If you give 25, try to get one person in your network to give $25, or try to get 10 donors or 5 donors in your network. Those are easy challenges that will create engagement. Also, I'm not using the number 10 by chance. As you know, it's our 10th anniversary, and this is a very easy tool for you to leverage to create engagement. We've seen also last year virtual, because of COVID, much more virtual fundraisers, dance parties, performances from arts or music organizations, and those are great ways also to engage donors on Give Miami Day. So why is it important to create shareable content? Because people feel good when they share content that they stand behind. So it's really important to show this impact, make it real. And of course, as nonprofits, it's much easier for you to share graphic or contents or visual or messages that donors will want to share. The narrative of your mission and communities are very good examples of the type of content that many social users can get behind. And I would always ask yourself, and I always ask myself when we create content with the Miami Foundation, would I like to share that on my timeline? What would make you want to share what you're putting out? And then another thing that is important to think about is to try, if possible, to make it relevant. This means link it to what is happening in the community. If you are on the front lines of issues that are current in our community or that have been current in the past few months, make sure your audience, your donors are aware of it, because donors will identify you as an important resource in the community, and they will see how your program are fulfilling a need, which is one of the most important things that a donor will try to look for on Give Miami Day. Figure out the value you bring to our community. Finally, a very important part of your messaging, both or either or in the graphic and the written content, is a CTA. You should encourage people to take action, to donate, to go to the website, to share, just take action. CTAs are really important, and your written content is important also. It should complement your vision. It should be very clear, understandable, easy, and if possible, always have a link for people to take action. Then an easy thing for you to do on Give Miami Day is to leverage our special features, the features that the Miami Foundation has created to make Give Miami Day more engaging and more and easier for nonprofits to be found by donors. So first of all, use our hashtag, tag us. We will support, elevate, and amplify your message as much as possible from now and until Give Miami Day. You can create champion pages, which allow for any donor or nonprofit to create a personalized funding page on Give Miami Day that is very easily shared on social. So this is a great tool, and several hundreds are created every year. Since last year, we also have power hours that focus on a cause every hour from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. So let's say, for example, the 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. power hour is on health and fitness. This is a moment for all organizations active in that field to mobilize, campaign, have events, and share content on that topic. Also, if there are organizations that work in the same area as you, you can partner with them on activities, on events. Everyone will win because there will just be more visibility and engagement around that topic and that power hour. As you know, we also have prizes throughout the day. So let's say that you are, for example, aiming for one particular prize we have prices every hour or half hour, it depends. So for example, if you're aiming for one particular prize, try to share about it on social beforehand to motivate your donors and engage them around that hour. And as I said earlier, a very nice way to engage donors this year and to make your social media posts more attractive is to leverage our 10th anniversary. People love anniversaries. This is a moment where we're going to celebrate the giving movement that we have created throughout the years that you are a full part of. And so you can use it through your graphics, but you can use it not only by mentioning it, you can also create top 10s, challenges, anything around the number 10 will make it, will boost your reach and make it more viral. I'd like to say a few words about timeline, because I know that some nonprofits don't really know when to start or how to organize and how to plan. So I'll just give a few tips on the timeline. So right now you should be starting to share save the dates on Give Miami Day, because it's only in a month and a half now. So whether through an email blast, social media, both, depending on what you're comfortable with and what you do usually, you should start announcing the date of Give Miami Day. Throughout the months of October, I would say start updating your website, mentioning Give Miami Day on your website, sharing the URL to your profile on the Give Miami Day website, share on social media, start mentioning power hours and figuring out what you're going to do during your specific power hour, both in terms of content, if you're going to add an event, and we've added a special feature this year where you can share your event on our website to give it more visibility. This will also help us as the Miami Foundation amplify your message and your events. We have early giving this year again, so it starts on Monday the 15th, and it's going to be for 3 days before Give Miami Day. So this is a nice moment to start also increasing your communications and mobilizing donors. And so on the day of, we would recommend sending an e-blast early in the morning so people don't forget and know that now is the time to start going on the Give Miami Day website and donating to their favorite causes and organizations, and of course sharing on social media. And I'll circle back to the first part of my presentation on strategy, which was set a goal. On the day of, try to share progress to your goal. Try to get your donors excited about where you are, where you need to be, and get them involved in helping you to reach your goal. So each time you reach a milestone, 1,000 or 500, depending on your goal, it's very nice to share it with your audiences. And so one final thing that I'd like to share before passing it on to Joan is to never forget to thank your donors. I know it can seem obvious, but it's an important thing to think about. And if you do it on social media, think about also having nice graphics that donors may want to share throughout the day, which will also attract maybe more donors. And also, of course, it will make sure it's a way to keep your donors and make sure that they remember you year after year and keep donating to your organization and helping you reach new donors. So those are very meaningful gestures that are easy but important. So I will wrap it up. Final words: follow the Miami Foundation on all the platforms that you're active on. Use our content, tag us. We will help us as much as we can amplify your message. Use us as a resource, but still remain yourself. This is very important. I hope I wasn't too long. I'll pass it on.
Thank you, Jess. That was perfect. Thank you so much. And I'm hoping that everybody who's watching and who is listening to you is taking notes as crazy, right? And if you're like me at this point, you might be a little overwhelmed of like, where do I start? What do I do? So let me say this out loud. All of these things are not for all of you. And we need to be smart about what we choose and why we choose it. So here's a formula for you. You should focus on 5 W's. Remember that. So in this next slide, this is what you should have by now. If you can move me to the right, Jess, please. Yes, perfect. So this is not the first workshop that all of you are attending, right? You've been attending workshops, hopefully every week. So at this point, as Jess was saying, in this timeline, the idea is that you should now have a better understanding on why are you doing this, right? Which means why is this important? And the resources are going to allow you to do X, Y, and Z and solve for a particular problem. So you should be very clear on the why. If you don't have it, stop and do it, or else you're going to be super busy, but you're not working towards a tangible goal. Once you have that clear, what is it that you're going to do, right? Is it going to be social media? Is it going to be email? Is it going to be calls? You decide what is it that you're going to do. Most importantly, who are you targeting this to? How are you going to do it? Meaning, what resources are you going to implement it? And most importantly, when, right? So here's another layer. If we go to the next slide, Jess. What we're proposing today is that you have a clear understanding for this next month and a half. What are your objectives? What are the activities that you're going to implement? Who are you going to engage, right? The people who are going to be involved, the resources that you need, and therefore plan for it, right? Planning might take you 2 to 5 hours, but I promise you that those 2 to 5 hours are totally worth it, because once you plan it, once you align with your team, you're ready to go. And it's no longer going to take any other brain space for you. So today I'm going to focus on the last 3 W's to give you another tool and another strategy that you can implement. So let's go to the next slide, Jess. And let's focus on the who, right? So at the beginning of the year, we created this graphic. And today I'm here with my Radical Partners hat on as the executive director, but also my PhilanthropyMiami hat on as a board member that's working towards the capacity building of organizations, right? So this very simple graphic is based on the trends that we're seeing. And in all honesty, many opportunities for growth, if not weaknesses, for many nonprofits in Miami and the world. So we think that you as a leader in each of our organization has or should have the 6 types of people or 6 types of organizations around you, right? One is you need a cheerleader. You need someone that believes in your cause, that believes in who you are, what you do, and is really cheering you on and is keeping you on track. You need people who are your peers and who are the doers, who are going to implement things. You also have powerful connectors around you. These people might not have the financial resources to support your cause, but they are very good at connecting you with the right people and with the right types of power. You also should have mentors, people that you admire, people that are better than you in certain things. That way you can aspire to do that, to be them, right? If you're always feeling like you're the best one in the room, I encourage you to find new rooms. You also have the audience, right? Which are typically your beneficiaries, people that you're supporting. And then here, we're calling them resource facilitators, right? We typically think of donors as rich people. We typically think of philanthropists as people that can write checks all the time. We encourage you to start thinking of them as resource facilitators, because these resources might be financial resources, but the resources might be sometimes in-kind work or other types of work. So in this same image, if we go to the next one, Jess, I put in purple here, if we talk Give Miami Day language, right? So the cheerleaders could be your champions. This is where you would start create champion pages, right? And really try to find 10 or more cheerleaders that will create champion pages for your organization. The peers and the doers are your team. Your team needs to be aligned. Your team needs to be motivated so that your campaign is going to be successful. The powerful connectors would be ambassadors of your organization, of you as a leader, right? So they can tell their friends, their families that you're fundraising for this. Mentors are other organizations, and I'm going to dare to mention the children's movement, who's typically every year like one of the organizations that raises more money and that gets more donors, right? So let's look at them. Let's look at what they're doing. How much time do they spend planning? And I'm sure that someone from their team is willing to share some good practices with us. Keep your audience in mind, right? Your beneficiaries. In that messaging that you're putting out for your donors, how are you talking about your beneficiaries? Are you doing it with respect? Are you being mindful of their privacy? Are they themselves engaged with this campaign, right? Because they could be your storytellers too. So don't forget about them, even though you're raising money in the next year and a half. And then the resource facilitator would be your donors. So I hope I'm blowing your mind a little bit on all the different types of people that you should be engaging or could be engaging as you prepare for Give Miami Day. So here's what I have for you. In this next slide, I encourage you to spend some time thinking about who are these people and how you're nurturing these people. I'll move quickly on some examples, right? Are these people looking for meaning? Do they want to see pictures, videos of your work? Are these people looking for visibility? So maybe they want to be highlighted in your social media as previous donors. Are these people looking for understanding the impact on the community? So maybe they need to go and attend some of the after school programming that you're delivering. Are these people that are looking for access and reputation, right? So once they donate to you, maybe you will invite them to a dinner with decision makers. There are different types of food that you can give to all these people, and you know better than me, what do these people need? So if we go to the next one, here's the nurture grid that I want to give to you as a gift. Who are all these people and what's their relationship to you, right? So I have an example there. Joan, I'm the executive director of Radical Partners, and let's say that I was a past donor for your organization. How did you nurture me in the past? Maybe you did a celebratory Facebook post that mentioned Radical Partners, right? And that's going to bring like a return of investment to my organization. When was the last time you did it? If you did it in January and you want me to donate again, there's a big gap there that you need to fill, right? So when and how do you intend to nurture me again? And that's what I would love for you to work on. We don't have a lot of time, so all I'm asking is that you work on one. And I would encourage you to think of the biggest donor that you've had in the past. Figure out who they are. Let's think about how did you nurture them in the past? When was the last time you did this? And most importantly, when and how do you intend to do this again? So I'm going to give you 3 minutes to work on that person, or more if you have time. And then we're going to come back, and I'm curious to hear what you realize. Jess is going to be my DJ, and she's going to try to place the music in the back. But at this point, you should already be working on who is this person? How did you engage them in the past? When was the last time you my friends, I wish I could be looking at everybody's faces right now, but I can't. So I'm going to ask you to please leverage the chat to share how did that go? What are the things that you realized as you were doing that exercise? I'm with you on that, Karen. There's never enough time in the day, right? So what's our priority? Because we can't work 24 hours straight. So not enough time, not enough recognition happening. It's been a while since we've connected, right? And Haley says it's important to really personalize. So if I get to feel proud about the things that you learned today, I think the one thing that I want you to take with you is that all these people that we see as resource facilitators or donors are people. As simple as that. We forget sometimes, right? Because we're talking about hundreds of people that are donating dollars. We're talking about people that are giving us thousands of dollars if we're lucky for that. And sometimes we forget that these are people that are working hard for those donors, that they're figuring out what they believe in, that they have values, that they have causes, right? And we forget that as leaders sometimes. So this nurture grid invites you to take some time to recognize these people as people. What is it that they're doing for you? So then what is it that you can do for them, right? So that this relationship is reciprocal. And it's not only activated in November every year, but that there's something happening every once in a while so that when November comes, you activate them, right? Just like your friends, just like your family, if you think about it, there's a base of trust. And when people trust you and when you show up for them, when you ask for help, they're going to show up for you. But if you don't do that, it's harder. It's going to take more Google ads. It's going to take more posts. It's going to take more tagging if you haven't built that trust. So that's what I have for you, my friends. Remember that there are people that you need to build trust. And it's okay if you're going to start now in October, but thinking who's the person behind what you're putting out there and who you're targeting is not only going to allow you to focus on what's important, but most importantly, you're going to have a better return of investment there. So if you do not have time, you have to pause and plan and think what's going to give, right? Something's got to give so that you can focus on the right thing. So if you want to engage your donors, you're going to have to prioritize your donors and spend this next month thinking of them, engaging them, nurturing them. And the one last thing that I will say is, I love chocolate and I love baking chocolate cakes. But if I bake a chocolate cake for my husband who hates sugar, the cake is going to stay there, right? So do not bake chocolate cakes for people that do not like the sweets, because that's not going to work. You're going to be busy, but you're not going to be effective. So make sure you spend the time doing the things that Jess recommended of like, what is the food that these people like to eat? And then you move into the cooking, okay? So with this, I'm going to pass it to Sam, who's going to moderate the Q&A, and we have around 10 minutes to engage in conversation between Jess, you, and I.
Hi, sorry, my microphone was not functioning. If anyone wants to put any questions in the Q&A, Jess and Joan are happy to answer, and I will be monitoring from the background. Do we want to put more music on during the Q&A? Just an idea.
I was going to say, it looks like we have one question in the chat. So how do we separate the person from the institution or the company that they represent? Sometimes we read the person well, but not what the institution means.
I'm happy to start there, Jess. I would say you can't separate them. It's important for you to know the two things, right? So are you engaging the person as a person? Are they going to give you money out of their salary and their paycheck? Then you should care about the person. But if this person who you're building trust is part of a corporation or an institution, and the money is gonna come from the company or the institution, you also need to think of that company as a person. And what that means is I cannot ask for support for leadership development, for example, if the company clearly states that they're investing in housing affordability. I shouldn't spend my time there, right? Because I'm going to be working towards something that is not going to work. So I would say, don't try to separate them. Try to understand these two players, how to interact, how they interact with each other, and most importantly, what's the relationship to your organization. One other thing that I will say is, unfortunately, not all the dollars are for your organization, right? And sometimes that's hard for us to realize. But once you understand what these corporations or what these people are investing in, you might as well be the powerful connector to another organization that needs that dollar amount for housing affordability. And then you go and find your new people that want to eat the food that you are offering. I hope that helps.
Okay, there's another question in the chat from Dunya. We are a new foundation in Miami and we do not have a designated full-time executive and we are relying on volunteers, no board of directors. Our executives are in Guatemala. How crucial is it to have a full-time executive to direct the strategies for fundraising?
I'm happy to try to answer, Dunya. Thank you for your question. So we realized that for some of the nonprofits, it may be one person. It's I wouldn't say it's crucial to have a full-time executive, as long as there is someone on your team or in your volunteers who is ready to help and participate in the strategies for fundraising. Creating posts on social or content or emails, it doesn't have specifically to be an executive. It can be anyone who just knows your organization, its actions, and is able to dedicate a little bit of time to do the work. I'm not sure if this is exactly what you were asking, but I think getting anyone involved in your cause and in your organization to help you and support you and work with and for you on those days. It doesn't have to be year round. If you want to focus on Give Miami Day, it can be only the week of Give Miami Day, is the most important. And it doesn't have to be a full-time executive.
I'm with you on that, Jess, right? It doesn't have to be an executive director getting a salary if that's not the possibility right now. But why do executive directors succeed is because it's this person dedicated full time to a particular mission, right? Is this person working towards a goal? So those, I think, are the best practices that you could take away, Dunya. Like, who is your person, or who are the people that have those goals established and they're working towards that? Either that's full-time, either that's volunteering, either that's part-time, but the importance of the roles, the goals, and then the activities towards that is what I would take away from Jess's answer.
All right.
A lot of questions.
Yes.
So curate them for us, Sam, please.
Okay. So from Tori, we have, how do you know what kind of recognition your donors like?
You can be a data person and go with Jess's brain and analyze what you have, or you can focus on people and be like me and ask. You can ask by sharing a form, by calling them, by when you're going to engage them again, you ask. And with this, I'm going to dare to jump into into Maria Luisa's question, right? Like people, wait, no, I'm mixing up the names. Someone asked about making their members a recurring member every year. So when you ask them for that CTA, right, that call to action, use that moment to ask, is this a recurring donation? Like, how do you want to be involved? So asking the question is key. How you do it, up to you and the tools that you have. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on that, Jess.
Yeah, this is what I completely agree with you on that, Joan. And I think also paying attention to reactions, to know what works. Just pay attention to reactions, what you'll get a feel of what your donors appreciate from their reactions and from ongoing contacts and future connections, I would say.
All right, next question. This one's probably a short one, but what suggestions do you have to turn website subscribers into donors? Like how to convert, I guess, newsletter subscribers into donors.
So I think this is what I covered that during my part of the presentation. If those people, if it's newsletter subscribers, which is what I thought also, leverage those communications to directly address or talk to your donors, and to engage them on your programs, on your fundraisers, on Give Miami Day. If you feel that this is where you have the most followers and the most engagement, then just use this medium and this platform to get into a discussion with them, you know, and maybe at the end of a letter or a newsletter, ask for feedback, ask a question, ask your audience to reach back to you with suggestions to create a conversation, I would say. And this is, and also, if you're active on social media and you would like to draw this crowd to your social media or to other platforms, include it in your emails or newsletters. If this is where they are, this is where you should talk to them and engage them.
Okay. Here's a comment from Beatriz that I think is relevant. We have not participated previously. Our org is not a traditional org because we work with minority businesses and it's difficult to compete with orgs that support children, health, etc. So maybe if they're not an org that qualifies for a power hour, how would you suggest getting attention from potential donors?
So Beatrice, there are several things that you can do, right? Because if you registered for Give Miami Day, it means that there's a need for you to raise funds. And if you are working towards this nonprofit, is because you think there's a problem that needs to be solved. So the one thing that I can tell you is that there are probably 10, 20 or more people that believe in your cause. The thing is, you need to find them. And if it's year one, maybe the way you do it is through your personal relationships, right? People that know you, people that know Beatrice, and the cause that you're working towards. So starting with your close circle could be an alternative. Another alternative would be to spend a week doing research. Who is investing in Miami in the small business sector? So you could go to Access Helps, you could go to CIC, you could try to tap into the networks that are investing in small businesses recovery. Or if it's small businesses for Black people, small businesses for Latinos, you need to find your audience. And once you do, then you pursue. So yes, it is worth it once you identify your why. Who are these people and how are you going to engage them?
Here's a question from Maria Luisa Prado. How would the equation be to understand when a donation is convenient if it requires a lot of work, in parentheses, hours and energy, to retain and maintain loyalty, I assume, with the donor?
I bet you have some suggestions there, Jess. If not, I'm always happy to talk.
I'm not sure I understand the question. I'm trying to read it again.
Mm-hmm.
If it requires a lot of work to retain and maintain loyalty. It does require a lot of work, but then it's a question of how much time you want to invest in your. I'm really not sure I understand the question. I'm sorry. I don't know, Joan, if you have any insight.
Yes, I think it's a matter of like, where do you spend your effort, right? Where do you invest it in, like doing a lot of work, but then in the end you get $25 donations. So how to know when something is going to be effective and is going to have that return of investment. So I would say, Maria Luisa, that the equation is up to you and your team. And I think it was Christian who was asking for examples. So this might be a 1-hour conversation that you have with your team. Establish your goal, right? That was Jess's tip number 1. What's your goal? Is it getting 100 people to donate? Is it raising 10K? Is it engaging 5 people? Once you have that goal, what's going to get you there? And there's going to be side effects, right? Of like, if you're going to be posting on social media, great, you still want those small donations. But the equation is, where am I going to invest my time and the few resources that I have to get a bigger return of investment? So I wish I could give you something concrete, but I would say this is a 1-hour conversation with your team to establish that goal and to plan accordingly. And there is a matrix that I didn't come up with it, and I bet you can find it in the internet, of like the amount of effort that something is going to take you and the result that is going to have, right? So the things that will take you a lot of time and not bring you a result, ciao, ditch them. But the things that will require very small effort and bring a lot of investment, that's where you want to be. So that might be social media. And then there are things in between that you are going to have to spend time, human talent and resources towards it. So hopefully you get the return of investment. And I would add on top of that, that this is also an opportunity for you to try and play, right? It's hard to use the word play when we're talking about social issues that are so ingrained in this work. But see, week 1, you could play with it, see if it works. Week 2, you could iterate. Week 3, you could do new things. And then for people like Beatrice, if you don't have enough time and resources to play, observe others, right? Learn from other organizations. And the Miami Foundation will be putting something out very soon. So this is a teaser where you will be able to hang out with other organizations, learn from each other, and play and implement what others are doing until you find the equation and the formula that works for you.
I don't see any other questions, but if anyone has any other questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. We have like 2 minutes left. If not, I'll defer to you guys.
I see there's a question. Would you recommend that we just try and see what happens? I think this is what Joan was trying to say, and I completely agree. Like for some organizations that are new to Give Miami Day, there will be moments where you will have to test if you get responses to an email, to a social media post, to a poll in social media, to questions, and some things take more time than others. So maybe you want to start with the little things that won't take too much time on you and your team, and just create a simple post and see the reactions that you're getting. And as I said also, especially if you're new to Give Miami Day, use our resources, follow the Miami Foundation, tag us, use our hashtag, and do it early if possible, so we can start sharing your content, supporting you. We always try to amplify the message of our nonprofits as much as possible. So use the resources that we provide you with, so we can help you as much as possible. But yes, I would recommend trying different things and see what works. And it's a long-term process.
Okay, yeah. I think we got one final question. What fundraising suggestions do you have for organizations that have a hard time collecting data to share their story?
So, and I'm curious what Joan would say also, but what I would say to that question is, it doesn't have to be data. Data works well in some cases, but of course, for some organizations, it's going to be a story. It's going to be an anecdote. It's going to be showing just the face of someone that you have helped, or a quote from them to say how your organization has supported them. It doesn't have to be data. Data is very striking in a graphic, so it can be helpful to support a request for donations, but it doesn't have to be data. All the organizations participating in Give Miami Day, as Joan said, are here to solve a problem or to help the community in a way or another. And this is what you need to put forward. This is what you need to share with the community. This is what the donors want to know. They want to know what is going to be their impact if they give to your organization. So any way you can communicate this in a very concrete or human way, it will help your donors and engage them. It doesn't have to be data. You can show faces or share quotes. I'm sure there's something that you can share to explain what you're doing, even if it's your mission statement, if it's, you know, even your staff, why they are engaged, or volunteers if you don't have staff, anything, not even a note.
So I'm going to push Sabrina. Sabrina, I don't know you. I hope to meet you soon. But if you're doing it, it's measurable. If you're putting activities out there, whatever that is, you can measure it. How? That's what you need to figure out, right? And I remember that you were also the one that asked about the donors, right? So you have to have a clear theory of change, not only for Give Miami Day, but as an organization. What is the problem that you're trying to solve? What's the solution that you're putting out there? And how are you measuring if that is successful or not, right? It could be attendance, it could be media articles, you name it. And then if not, then there's some work that needs to be done there, right? So the good thing is that we've got your back. And by we, I mean all the organizations who are present here. The Miami Foundation is putting a lot of efforts and resources for you, which Chelsea will share soon. PhilanthropyMiami, which is the organization that I'm representing today, has monthly or quarterly engagement for you to learn new things, for you to find out about resources. And then Radical Partners, the organization that I run, we also have free office hours or other opportunities for nonprofits to work on their capacity building. Because many of us, and please do not feel bad when I say this, many of us really lead from passion. And as much as I love passion and loving about a cause, if you want that organization to be not only sustainable, but relevant and really solve that problem, we need to do some learning and we need to do some work. So you're not alone. We're here for you. And I think that would be a perfect segue, Chelsea, for you to wrap it up.
Awesome. Thank you both so much. I can see from the chat that this has been really, really helpful for all of our audience members. So just wanted to mention a couple of quick housekeeping items before we fully wrap up. So I know, we have several hundreds of organizations already registered, but for any that may be here that have not yet registered, we've extended the registration deadline for an additional week. So you'll have time to get registered over the next 2 weeks. The deadline is end of day on October 8th, which is next Friday. Also wanted to quickly mention that our final webinar training for Give Miami Day is going to be taking place next Tuesday, October 5th at 10 a.m. And we're going to be inviting Virtual Volunteer Florida to join us to discuss a little bit more about how to engage your volunteers through Give Miami Day and beyond. So we'd love to have you all join for that. And then the one other quick note, we are going to be recording this. I know I mentioned this before, but just for any that may have joined late, we record all of our sessions and we'll be posting them on givemiamiday.org on the key dates and trainings page. So I think those are all of the updates that I have for the group, but really just wanted to thank Jess and Joan. Really appreciate your time today. I think this has been super helpful for all of our organizations. And if any other questions come up, definitely feel free to reach out to us at givemiamiday@miamifoundation.org. And we're happy to help. Thank you all.
Bye, everyone.
Take care.